welcome to Wayne's Cave. Another adventures into the stars, and hopefully you guys can watch and take some photographs alongside. There's a couple of nights this week according to the forecast, and being in February I thought, well, they're rare to come, so a couple of nights on the forecast say it's clear. So I'm going to try over them 2 sessions, tonight and then Thursday in the week, just have a run a bit of a so I thought I'd run a bit of a project on something. And as I was planning on going for a particular target, I thought that my SCT scope would be great for extra focal length of 1,200 or something. Get me nice up close and personal to so as you see, DSLR attached onto the back, a little finder scope to help me align when calibrating my mount, because with this SCT being such long focal length, it would be a lot more accurate polar alignment and calibrating that mount, because it's so easy when you're zoomed out that far. You only have to be virtually half a degree out on calibration and you won't see your object through the main viewing piece in your telescope. So I've just been spending today putting all this back together onto this SCT, because all this equipment's been on the other telescope, and of course you've got to get your finder scope and I've actually made sure my guide scope as well is all putting down the same tubes of light, so that's all ready to go. So yeah, I'm excited to see what this SCT tube is going to do for me tonight. Got guiding again, just my nexguide autoguider. And I've already configured for the first time properly I haven't got it with me, but a parfocal eyepiece. Every now and then, last time I was trying to photograph near the Big Dipper, which is, you know, as we know, reasonably close to Polaris, and my guider was finding it difficult to calibrate itself. It would lock on, not quite calibrate, and throw out a couple of error readings outside. Okay guys, I'll catch up with you soon and let you know what we're getting. You want to look through the telescope? You want to look through that telescope? Well, he seems as keen as me, guys. So me and Toddy had just been having a little think about our last astrophotography session here at Wayne's Cave. We had a nice learning curve because we thought we'd get out on the last couple of nights. It was clear. This time, as you can see behind us, the SCT scope, because I thought, now obviously we were coming into galaxy season, and I thought I originally went for a triangular, but the window of photographing sort of is getting a lot shorter now. I did capture some frames on the first night, but with the position of it in the sky, they're all washed out because of lights, you know, distant, not distant lights, but nearby houses lights that just so happen to be on that night when they're not normally. So it's one of them things, but it's more of an experimental couple of sessions, really. And I thought if I could get something out of it, it's bonus. But because I just wanted to see, preparing for Galaxy season, whether my SCT would give me pictures I'd be happy with, because obviously this scope has got 1200, I can't remember if it's 1240 or 1280 millimeter focal length, so obviously that's a lot closer reach than say a wide field refractor, and is a reasonable amount closer reach than my APO triplet Skywatcher 120 ED, which is focal length of 840. So I thought maybe for Galaxy season, I thought if I can get a couple of sessions in to see how the SCT fares up and sort of compare what the frames look like, and obviously go through the process of stacking the images, etc., and then go from there. And also there's the usability factor I wanted to weigh up. Could I get out, set up, capture even a dozen frames of something if there was a short window of clear skies one night reasonably easily, or not? So this was a bit of an experimental session just to see how, from setup, the process of polar alignment and obviously guiding, and then obviously the type of frames I would then capture. So yeah, it was great getting the SCT scope out again, because when I first got this scope, I'm still learning now, we're always learning, but I got this scope just because I wanted to look among the stars, and got some eyepieces out and was amazed. And then I found out you could actually put cameras to these things and try and take pictures, and so I went head first into that. And with that, I got myself a refractor telescope, the Skywatcher Esprit 120, and after lots of advice and lots of research, and I found it to be great. Done a few really successful photo shoots with that on various targets, and really happy with it. But yeah, just to fill you in on how I got on with the SCT with my setup. I use a standalone autoguider, which is just here, nexguide, as you can see on. It's quite a long guide scope, which it needs to capture enough light so that the sensor can obviously detect whether that star is moving away from, off course, to give the mount corrections. And I've been getting on great with it. I'm still learning little things about it, haven't we? But excuse me. Now my dog's put me off stride as to what I was going to talk about. You little monkey. But yeah, some people, that was one of the points I wanted to really raise in this short video, was about this standalone guider. Because before I got it, I've read reviews. Some people, you'd hear comments on forums and such like. People, and I quote, "Oh, you won't." What was one comment? basically saying you wouldn't get, the comment was you won't get any guiding out of that type of device or something along those lines, and other things saying it's not worth investing in. You know, it's not worth, if you want to photograph seriously, it's not, no, you need a proper guiding setup with the connected to the computer, proper camera connected to the computer, etc. And I must admit, it put me off for a little while getting this. This one is the Celestron nexguide, and in the end, after a bit of research, sort of scouring information, basically trying to get hold of people that have physically had it in their hands, used it, and their experience with it, because there wasn't a lot, certainly online, you know, of that on there. Anyway, I've used it on my Skywatcher S3, obviously 840mm focal length, so not super wide field of view, but reasonably wide field, I would say. I'd say medium. But and the Celestron here is obviously it's a reflector type of scope, so there's mirrors in there that bounce the light to give you a lot longer focal length. Like I say, it's sort of 3 times, I think, the length of that tube you can see there. So obviously that's drawing the object a lot closer. So in effect, you're zoomed out to that object. Now obviously with guiding, you're really testing your guiding system, because you zoomed so close, so much closer to the target. Imagine if you just touched your telescope lightly in your eye. If you had an eyepiece there, you'd see that it'd look like you've moved that about 3 foot, because you've got that picture field of view is zoomed so much closer to the object. Now I was taking pictures of, I did a couple of objects over 2 nights, and I was just as to experiment to see how they both turned up, basically. Now I don't want to go ahead and say that I come away thinking I had a camera full of brilliant frames. I'm never silly on a shoot. I'll always obviously do test frames to make sure that the object's in the middle, etc., and have a look at a frame when you're out, like I do, out there, and sort of, you know, you can obviously assess the frame, but only to a point when you're in the session. Because what I found was that sort of 75% of my Crab Nebula frames from night 1, all the stars, my guiding, it wasn't as good as it could have been. I didn't have big star trails, I just had not perfectly round stars. They were sort of rugby ball or egg, not egg shaped, but not round, and they were heavily lit on one side, you know, sort of like that. Now I'm talking a fraction, but it shows, because exactly what I was saying, the long focal length. Now you see, I was in my habit of using my Skywatcher 840mm focal length, you know, zooming in to a point and knowing, and then seeing a good frame with good quality stars, and then bang, program it in on your intervalometer to go ahead and capture a load of frames, and just check on it now and then, and make, you know, and capture a good amount of data. But this time, so it's unfortunate I couldn't use 3/4. I think I had 5 frames out of 18 that I thought were just about good enough. Because the second night, obviously night 2, I pack everything away, go out the next night, I recalibrate and redo as you do. Calibrated successfully, no problems with setting up guiding, and it went as smooth as clockwork, and the guiding was brilliant. I think there was only, this time it was more like the other way around. I had at least 80% of the 15 frames that I got, roughly speaking, was good. And I mean, you know, really good. The star quality was good. It's in the shape. I do like the stars better on the Skywatcher. The triplet lens really gives what I would call some life to the frame, to the stars, the colour of them, the colour of the object even, you know, there's sort of a bit of natural depth in the frame. I'm not talking about a lot, but noticeable. There's depth in this. This is not putting my SCT 8-inch SCT, as you can imagine, it gives a quality frame, quality visuals in general. But like I say, had I been imaging with my Skywatcher, I know that I'd have had more data that I could have used, and not had this learning curve. Now, you know, now if I photograph with this, I now know that I've got to really check that, even though I know the guiding's set up and I know when it's telling me it's guiding and it's all up and running, it is a reliable unit. At this focal length now, I know I've got to check that frame, you know, check a full length 4-minute frame or 4.5, like I did 4.5 minutes on Pinwheel, and on that I was blown away. There were amazing frames. The detail of the galaxy in that, this is where that little bit of extra focal length, and it's not like I was sort of expecting almost like the target would be double in size for some reason. Just the silly, excited astrophotographer thinking he was going to jump into the middle of a galaxy with his bigger telescope. Because it's not an awful lot closer. For the trade-off, I think I would, he says, after photographing quite a large galaxy, you know, for the smaller galaxies and stuff, yeah, I think I would set up, be meticulous with getting that guiding great, and go with this long focal length scope to capture frames on small galaxies like Bodes and Cigar, you know, and the Leo triplet even. In fact, the Leo triplet, I'd like to do them on both telescopes, and watch this space. I will do that. I'm going to show you the difference on the same target. That's what I'm going to do. All of it's brilliant, but some of it's just a bit tougher than others to set up, run, know what to expect, etc. But for all of you out there, this is a telling off, because that is a bloody good standalone auto guider. Check how much they cost, if they still sell them, and then think about how much your guidance system costs. Everything, leads, laptop, camera, scope, rings. Just have a little comparison, and then have a look at these shots. 4.5 minutes, that told my scope at 1200 odd mil focal length to stay on that galaxy that's 20 odd million light years away. Tell me, people, I won't get guiding. Run over. I can't speak good enough about it. For all the thousands of astrophotographers out there with really handy compact setups of, as you've seen, with these small little nifty red cat that's just come out, and these lovely little compact triplet and quadruplet wide field scopes that are giving really quality signal at fast speeds. Don't go bogging yourself down with laptops, man. You put this with it. I know you can even use these on a shorter scope. I know people who do them on 80mm Orions that are half that length and probably save a little bit of weight. You can use whatever rings you like. It doesn't have to be them particular rings. Just get it on there. Just find a way of mounting it on there, because you can go to sites to get wide field shots with some nice scenery in the background, rather than just in your garden. You know, use a little battery pack like I do for your power. This is my golf trolley battery, this, and I've wired in a 12-volt cigarette lighter type thing, because that's what I run everything on, including that, my mount, and my 2 dew heaters, dew bands, one there and one on there, off of 12-volt cigarette. So if I did want to shoot in situ, I can take this on holiday. Well, not on holiday, but chuck it in the back of the truck, go to Wales, which is only up an hour away, not even that probably, somewhere interesting, and you know, set it all up. So you know, I think for if you're in a home observatory, some guys out there, the kit that's racked up, you know, I think it can put people off. It looks so technical, and it is. I know it is, but you're taking little baby steps like I have done. This past year has been such an amazing learning curve, and I've loved it every time I've found a new solution to something or whatever. And at the end of the day, all I'm doing is sticking a telescope on a motorized mount and taking pictures still. I'm not doing anything too technical, and I've been able to get photographs of some amazing stuff in space. It's phenomenal. You photograph in space with just basically that and a blooming cigarette lighter socket. Now guys, didn't have any filters at all when I was taking Pinwheel or the Crab. I just used my modified camera, the stock modified DSLR camera, straight into the back of the telescope. As you can imagine, 4-minute long frames, that's sucking in light for 4 minutes or 4.5 minutes. So I was sort of expecting any what would you call it, flaws to be magnified, especially with that focal length. And you know, it's a light bucket, it's an 8-inch light bucket sort of thing, so of course I've got vignetting on it, reasonably flat because I am using a flattener, but there were good frames. I've now currently got a really good filter for my camera, so I'm gagging to get back out there with that and take some more of the Pinwheel and do a comparison, because it's not massively light polluted where I am, but with those types of frames for that, like, it shows more so with this scope than for some reason the triplet lens. I mean, again, it goes to show the quality of that triplet, the Esprit 120 triplet. Yeah, you know, I think that scope's amazing. I can't wait to have some more fun with that and get some good frames. But I'll show you, I'll put up maybe, I think, in this video, I'll put a frame, I'll put one frame, I'll put one 4.5 minute frame of the pinwheel. I might show you, I haven't decided whether I'm going to show you the Crab Nebula yet, because I found that a tough target for a start. But sorry, yeah, I might put up the finished, stacked, processed. I'll put two versions, one with Astro tools that I use, I'm still learning, and the other process software that I use is through GIMP, actually, because I was learning, I didn't want to spend hundreds on software, so and because I didn't know how to process a plumbing stamp on a dot on the computer, so I didn't want to invest loads in like other software. And then the processed, my process, they are over processed in my personal view. From what I've done before, did have to, I learned a lot by having to do it, but because, like I say, with the vignetting and there was a bit more washed out, the frame, so I had, you know, they weren't overexposed on the histogram, but they did seem washed out, and it was difficult to get the result that I usually get. But just if you're like me and you're just, you know, biting off a big old mouthful, probably more than you can chew, because it certainly feels like it is for me at times, just pick it up and put it back down again, especially with this processing thing. Maybe watch a few videos, you know, some tutorials. You won't take it all in the first go, but then you'll try and process your pictures, and then if the odd thing will click and you realize why that does that particular task, then watch some more, experiment even. Don't try and process something you want a finished article with. Just get some data in there and just use these functions and see what the effects is. Overdo things and then say, I see that's where the highlights of a frame are, that's where the midtones are. I see. Because you've overdone it, it's easier to see. When you're trying to do it, when you're trying to create a finished article, you're scared of overdoing something, or, you know, of ruining it. So it's sometimes hard to tell what processes, how these different processes are affecting your image when you're drawing it all out. Anyway, that's just my experiences so far. Hopefully it makes sense to some of you people out there. I hope it does, because when you sit at the computer like I have the past couple of days for what feels like hours on end, as soon as you get back home from work, trying to, you know, make your way through this maze of information on this software, you feel like you're the only mad person in the world going through it. Anyway, guys, I'll put up these images. I'll put the text underneath each one, obviously just to show you exactly what they entail. And I look forward to the next clear night, which is very soon, and we're at new moon, and hopefully in 2 nights it is going to be clear, and I will have that Skywatcher back out with the new filter, which I'm not going to give away what it is yet, but I'm very excited indeed, because it's a brilliant filter. So you shall see me then. Have great sessions under starry skies. Never give up. It's the motto. Go to work with tired eyes. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm clocking off and going to bed.